Hello. So this story about Boris just lingers on and on. It's like a very slow boiling kettle. Today, Keir Starmer calls him an absent MP. He's an absent, ridiculed MP. Notice that group of people who assembled outside Number 10, all wearing Boris masks, and he's awaiting this decision by Sue Gray. Our Prime Minister, the most powerful person in the land, is being controlled by a civil servant. We should all be ashamed of this. He cannot command in this way. Tobias Ellwood has said he should lead or step aside. Sky, the Sky News channel, says that he's lost the moral authority to lead. And one of the newspapers, I forget which one, says leads with Boris's toast. Another newspaper or something, or somebody has called the the people in Downing Street prats. Absolutely. And the problem is that Boris is presiding over an atmosphere that encourages this sort of behaviour, or that has been seen to encourage this sort of behaviour. So Boris himself may not be ultimately culpable, but he has set a standard of behaviour which has gone on and on and on, and repeatedly the people who are working for Boris or working with Boris have flouted the rules that they themselves have made. And we've got this situation where, as you always have, when people get overwhelmed with their sense of authority, their own sense of authority and power, they abuse the very rules, the very laws that they are making. We see it again and again and again through history. Starmer has said that Boris should resign, he should quit in the public interest. Well, I'm not sure Starmer's right. The public interest would be to rally round to make sure that Boris can continue, at least for the foreseeable future, to chip away, to keep this drip of information through the media and from his own party and from the rest of Parliament, is actually destroying our national image. And people should have thought about this before they started. And then we learned that in anticipation of some of these parties, the staff in Downing Street brought in a fridge so that they could store their Prosecco. Now, I didn't know what Prosecco was until I did the circle, and when I did the circle, then it was revealed to me, because again and again, as some sort of treat, I was given a bottle of Prosecco. Prosecco is probably the most disgusting thing that I could imagine drinking. And where does it come from? I didn't know what this stuff was. I've now looked it up. It's cheap. It's squalid white wine. It's sweet Italian wine. It's okay in Italy on an afternoon. But suddenly, once the British discovered this squalid white wine, it became ubiquitous here. And with a very interesting side effect. The Italian winemakers had to make so much of it that they destroyed their own vineyards. Suddenly, Prosecco is now linked to soil erosion and to pesticides. So anybody who is drinking Prosecco should think twice before they then say, "Oh, I endorse a sort of a green revolution." You can't be endorsing a green revolution if you are sipping on Prosecco. It's an oxymoron. Drinking Prosecco and talking up the greening of Britain is nonsensical. It has ravaged the Italian countryside. If you like sparkling wine or sparkling drinks and you can't afford proper champagne, well, then maybe you need to buy a bottle of lemonade and spike it with vodka or gin or something sensible. Prosecco, we should stop drinking Prosecco, give it back to Italy where it can be drunk properly in an afternoon in a sort of charming way. We need to stop stealing other people's things and destroying them. Anyway, please do. I'm sure everybody's going to object to my views on Prosecco. I did think Prosecco was disgusting. Every so often when I've given this drink in the circle and I was told I had to drink it, well, I went through a little bit of mime, I'm afraid. I I found it quite distasteful. I like sweet wine. I quite like sweet things, but this was just grim. This was just grim, and the colour was slightly yellowing. I mean, what on earth would this be? Slightly warm, slightly yellowing, and bubbling. Beggars all description, doesn't it? Anyway, look, do follow the channel, and ring the bell. I suppose Prosecco is exactly the drink we would now think of when we think of Boris, wouldn't it? Yes, Boris and Prosecco. You could have them together. Have fun.